All right, I have Sunny here with me from Help Hope Live, and I'm super excited for her to join Renna's Corner Conversations. We actually met at the Abilities Expo in Jersey, maybe 2 months ago. I don't even know. Like,
Almost, yeah, almost 3 months ago now, believe it or not.
time is flying.
Yeah. Oh, no,
Like,
I guess almost 2 months. 2 months. I just can't do math.
right? No, me neither. So, but I honestly, this sounds crazy, but when I was planning on going to the Abilities Expo, I knew there were tons of vendors there. And I also know that I can talk a lot, and I didn't want to miss out on specific vendors and organizations and just connecting with what would be valuable for Rena and then
Mhm.
also for people who kind of look at us as that trusted resource, because
Yeah.
that's kind of what Renna's Corner does. We share different products, resources, things that we've experienced or things that we've found that we think will be helpful for families like ours. So, ChatGPT gave me a list of ones that I needed to visit and some that maybe I wanted to visit. So you were definitely one of the ones that I needed to visit.
Honored. Thank you,
Yep.
ChatGPT. It's interesting. We have been seeing more and more actual like referrals and people saying they've heard of us through that. So it's
Yeah.
really interesting to hear.
Yeah, exactly. So we definitely made sure that we stopped by. I think it was kind of towards the end, and Renna had it, and she was done and cranky. So we didn't
I'm
get a
sure we
chance
all
to talk,
were.
right?
Yeah.
Especially you guys, because you were there for multiple days.
Yeah.
But we talked a little bit, and it sounds so amazing what you guys are doing. And I just wanted you to kind of explain what Help Hope Live does.
Mhm.
I won't even try to explain it because I don't want to do it any disjustice. So take it away.
Awesome. Well, and I first and foremost, thank you for having us. And I appreciate that you say that you guys are a trusted space for your resources because that's how we consider ourselves. It is our tagline that we are trusted medical fundraising. So that is really important. And so with Help Hope Live, we are a national nonprofit that helps individuals fundraise within their communities for their medical and related expenses. So, any individual living with a serious medical condition, from transplants, major injuries, all types of illnesses, we can help them safely and supportively fundraise toward anything and everything related to their condition. And it's really as simple as that. We're here to give them the support and the know-how of our fundraising guidance. We've been around now for over 40 years and been doing this for families all over the country. And we provide them with that guidance and a coordinator on our team and our social media expertise and all of that expertise that we've had for these last 40 years. And then we manage funds that are raised in their honor. So it shouldn't affect any of their benefits or their household income, which is where that safety measure comes in. We're safeguarding their benefits so that, they don't run into the possibility of losing them, unfortunately. If they go to another fundraising platform, that can happen. And then they submit their bills to us and we help pay the bills. And we're here for the lifetime of the individual to help them fundraise toward anything and everything they might need related to their condition.
So now with the fundraising, it's like medical related, right? So I'm just kind of thinking of our experience because we did do fundraising for Rena's service dog
Yep.
and we needed 20,000. We were able to do 34,000.
Amazing.
But
Congrats.
we did not use your platform, your
Yeah.
services. I didn't even know it existed, but would I have been able to because a service dog is a little different.
So that's where we say medical and related. So anything related to the condition. So service animals are absolutely something we can help individuals fundraise toward. And as long as we can bring the expense back to the condition, or if we have a note of necessity from a PT or a medical professional, we will most likely help you fundraise toward it. So everything from modified vehicles, service animals, home modifications, different types of equipment, beach wheelchairs, all-terrain wheelchairs, all the way down to adaptive bicycles, or even just the medical mileage rate, driving back and forth to doctor's appointments. The list is quite long. And so that's where we say medical and related. It's not the everyday groceries or clothing or, vacations, but we're here to really help what is going to help that individual live a little bit longer and live their lives a little bit easier.
Okay, so let's just use the example of Renna and
Yeah.
her service dog. So we paid for Paws for Ability, who we're going through the $20,000 for the service dog training, everything that goes with it. We're still in the process, but we were able to fully fund her future service dog. And now that extra, whatever, we were just talking about math, right?
Yeah. Not our
The
strong
extra
suit.
whatever
Yeah.
money that we have, $14,000 that we have, I just have it in a savings account.
Hmm.
Is that a bad thing for me to be doing? Should I be utilizing you guys? Or,
So, yes, we would love you to utilize us, but I will say, since you already have the funds, that is not like you wouldn't be able to put funds in a campaign in honor of Renna since you do declare her as a dependent, and it's not, you wouldn't be able to donate in her honor as her pa parent. But going forward, we love for you to do any fundraising with us by all means. I would say that I can't really speak to your situation but whichever bank account those funds are in, if it's tied to her benefits, that's something you'd want to look into. If she's on state benefits or Medicaid, Medicare that has income caps, that's always something you want to be careful of. And then just anything that could become taxable income. That's what we always say. Like if all of a sudden you have that of fundraising and it goes into a bank account, it
hmm.
could count as income. I am not a finance expert. I am not a Medicaid expert, but that is why we exist so that people can safely fundraise and will manage those funds in their honor.
Yeah, and I feel like this life that a lot of us are living, it's just you literally learn as you go. Like,
Completely. No one's handing you a book when your child's born, especially not with a rare disease. I have a younger brother that lives with a rare disease, and I know very full well no one hands you that book. So I
exactly.
appreciate all that you've been trying to do and continue to do.
Yeah, and it's like just constantly a learning process, and I love to learn and connect with people. So that's what I've been doing, like
Yeah.
if I could share something that somebody didn't know about, like I know my
Yeah.
one friend is trying to raise money for I think it was, I don't know if they were medical strollers. She has two twins with the same diagnosis as
Yeah.
Renna. And I sent her your way. I don't know if she reached
Thank
out,
you.
but yeah,
Yeah.
as soon as I knew a little bit about what you do and I saw her need, I was like, wait a second. I
Yeah,
can like put these
completely.
two things
That's why
together.
people will say all the time, "Oh, I never heard of you." And I say, "Well, you can never say that again because now you know about us." And you'd be surprised at how many people come up to the table at the Abilities Expo. Our assumption is they're there for them, but then they say, I have a friend or family or a neighbor, or, everyone has someone in their life that is experiencing a financial struggle due to medical issues at this point, unfortunately. Whether it's cancer or, going into old age with either Parkinson's or dementia or ALS, or even rare diseases aren't that rare anymore. And so there's so much out there that we all are touched by it in one way or another. Plus, the disability community is the one community we know everyone can become a part of. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
I shared in one of the episodes I did that I went into Renna's school and I was I think they call it a mystery reader. So they
Oh,
didn't
yeah, yeah.
know who was coming in. And I was reading a book about disabilities because I want
Nice.
she has a typical classroom, but she's in an autistic support classroom. But I want the kids to better understand Renna.
Yeah.
And I asked, does anyone know anyone who has a disability? And multiple
Mhm.
kids raised their hands, and it was the
Wow.
cutest thing. They're kindergartners.
Yeah.
The one said something about their grandparent got hurt and is
Wow.
using like a walker. I I feel like one of them said their dog.
But they're recognizing what disability is.
Yes,
That's
yep.
interesting.
So it was really cute, and I'm really thankful that I could do that because they I don't know, I feel like they're that school too that she goes to is just really good at helping kids be kind and
Nice.
accepting of
Yeah.
kids with disabilities. When Rena first started, there was a young man, let me think. I think he was in second grade, she was in kindergarten, but he had been in that school since he was in kindergarten. And I I basically was told by one of the teachers that everybody loves this child and everybody is always helping him and supporting him. And that made me feel really good knowing
Yeah.
that that's where Renna was going to go and that she was clearly different as well. And now I'll see these kids. I ended up subbing in her school as a paraprofessional, and I would
Nice.
see the kids and they'd say, "Oh, I saw Renna today." Or
Yeah.
they'd say, "I heard her screaming today," because
Nice. Nice.
she
I
doesn't
mean,
speak with
that
words. So,
integration, it's just as important for them as it is for her.
yeah,
So I don't know that everyone quite understands how important it is for the typical child to be integrated as well.
it really is. And now
Yeah.
that I don't know how to phrase it, but like I have these I don't know glasses on where I'm
Yeah.
looking for
Yep.
things to share that I keep finding all these amazing things that
Yeah.
that families could be exposing their typical kids to so that they can understand and
That's
not
awesome.
look at somebody and be like, "What's wrong with you?" You know, but
No, and
ask
it's great.
questions.
Yeah, and it's great when it's you're starting as kids though, because they ask the questions, and then to talk to the adults to allow their children to ask the questions. Because that's usually in our experience in my family when my mom would always see kids. My brother is in a wheelchair, he's nonverbal. Kids would come up and want to ask questions, but the parents get apprehensive.
Hmm.
So it's really then to allow the parents to have the kids ask the questions. Let them know it's not, it's okay because you cause the fright and the confusion when you're pulling the kid away, as opposed
Hmm.
to them just being curious and expressing that curiosity. And
Yeah.
so that's really important to be able to answer those questions and, let kids be kids. They'll figure it out for themselves.
Oh, yeah. And I think I have a little bit of an advantage because Renna is a social butterfly. She she's 6 now and she started walking independently when she was like 4.5. But ever since she started, she has not stopped, and she will go up to everybody and anybody and just want to interact and be friends.
Nice.
So she's kind of opening up that door
Yeah.
where we can kind of communicate or interact. And
Yeah.
yes, sometimes she'll go up to somebody and you can tell they want nothing to do with her. It could be an adult that's just
Yeah.
like, get that kid away from me. And it could be a kid that doesn't like being touched,
Yeah.
and that's what she does. She doesn't speak with words, so a lot of times she'll
Yeah.
like touch and grab, and and it's also a learning process for Renna because you can't just go up to people and grab them. So we've been trying to help her with her communication better.
Nice.
Um, and she's actually doing really good. She's still super grabby, but a little less
Baby
the
steps.
person, yeah, and more with everything that she can reach. Like she's
Nice.
like, "Ooh," like, and
That
it's not the
curiosity
softest.
though, and you don't dampen that for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when you were talking about kind of like your family and your brother, is that kind of how you got to where you're at in your role here? Or,
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely credit that. I had a past life, past career working in television in New York and always grew up in nonprofits and wanting to, in the service world as well. And my brother lives at home here in Philadelphia with my parents, and I've grown up in his world as well. And so when I moved home from New York, I wanted to make the shift back into nonprofit world work and I was looking everywhere and anywhere and had a friend who from high school who worked at Help Hope Live at the time. And this is almost 10 years ago now.
Mm.
And so I came in and she was like, well, we have an opening in finance. I said, I don't do finance. She's like, you can do this. Don't worry. And it was processing the fund requests that the clients would submit. So that was something I absolutely could do. It was communication, it was organization. And, I was able to open the door that way. So that's how I started with Help Hope Live, processing the fund requests, which was a great way to start because then I got to know our clients. I got to know the expenses that they were submitting and what their needs were. And then my end goal really was what I'm doing now and what we're doing here is the outreach, the being able to share our mission and get our mission out to more individuals because I understand just how much this community needs to know about all of these services that are out there. So we've been doing this now for a little over 6 years, the outreach department, and really getting out into the community, out into conferences and speaking and hosting webinars. So it's really wonderful. But yeah, I definitely think, growing up with my brother definitely was a huge influence on where I am today.
Yeah, so Renna has a half brother and he's going to be 21 in 2 months, something like that. Again, math, here we go. Um, but he's not really around much.
Hmm.
He didn't live at home with us. He was with
Yeah.
his mom. So I feel like that relationship's a little bit different than some other families who biological
Yeah.
siblings. But we went to a Pitt-Hopkins family conference maybe 2 years ago, and they actually had a panel where the siblings could share how having a
That's
brother or
amazing.
sister with this diagnosis has affected them. And they shared good things and they
Yeah.
shared hard things. And
That's awesome.
I feel like the good really seemed to outweigh the bad.
I
Um,
think so.
so I mean, I don't really have that experience,
Yeah.
but it was really interesting hearing that side of,
I
you know,
really appreciate hearing that they had that side because they don't always. So
yeah.
it's nice. And my brother is significantly younger. He's about 12 years younger than I am as well. So we have an older brother as well. So a lot of different age dynamics there. So
Yeah.
but it is nice and we have our own community now, even though he had a rare disease, but his disease now has a community as well, which is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So it has been cool to be able to see that grow and with all that he's able to do and so it's been really great.
Yeah. Feel like being a part of, we'll just call it Renna's world. Being a part of
Yeah,
Renna's
totally,
world just
totally.
changes
We just live in
people.
it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And of course, I never expected that I would have a child with a rare genetic disorder
yeah,
that wouldn't be able to even sit up when she was 18 months old, couldn't roll
yeah.
over, doesn't talk with words, although she has some words. Maybe not a sentence, but I swear she said something this morning. She is going to camp and I was trying to feed her. She didn't want to eat. And I think she said, are we going to go?
Wow.
And I'm like, yeah, we're going. It sounded just like it. She didn't want to eat because we were leaving in a minute
Yeah.
anyway, and she like knew. And I'm like, pretty sure that's what she said. So I've just been doing that.
Just take it. Just take it then. Yeah. And that's it. We live in their worlds for sure. And so that's what at Help Hope Live, we help make that world a little bit easier if we can, so that the families can fundraise toward all different types of things, adaptive bicycles, even to help kiddos a little bit have more fun. Yeah. Like I said, beach wheelchairs, and the service animals being a big thing.
Yeah. So going back to Rena's scenario, so let's just say we had used Help Hope Live. I'm not as fast as you at saying it,
Yeah. Totally
but
fine.
let's say we had utilized your services and we had that extra 14,000. Does it kind of just sit in a fund? And then when we have a bill or a need, we send it to you? Is that how it kind of works?
Exactly. So the funds are held within regionally restricted accounts, and then are allocated toward each campaign as you have your bills. So we go off the region, we go off the disease type, but from there, as your donors are donating, we're able to honor those donations and hold the funds for the lifetime of the client. We're with you for your lifetime. We've had clients who've been with us for over 20 years.
Oh, wow.
So, we don't, while yes, we have financial guidelines on what you're able to spend the funds on, we're not restricting that like you have to fundraise toward this one item. Even if on your campaign page you're saying you're fundraising toward a van, but tomorrow you need something else, use the funds.
Yeah.
As long as they fall under our guidelines, we're here to help you fundraise toward that. And so it's really however you want to navigate that within your journey.
Okay. So I'm just kind of thinking how to fully understand kind of like not the process, but more of the financial kind of part. So is it similar to how like an FSA or an HSA works where there's funds that are going there and then those funds are not counted? I don't know if FSA and HSA aren't counted as income, but they're not taxed. It's like
Yeah,
before
that's
tax.
non-taxable income because that's coming out of your paycheck. But this is, the your community is making a donation to Help Hope Live in honor of Renna in this case. Let's just use her as an example. We hold those funds, and so they're Help Hope Live assets. So that's how they're not the individual assets. We hold those assets so that they're here for your lifetime. But if the individual chooses to close the campaign or if they pass away, we can assist with basic funeral costs or outstanding medical expenses, but anything after that stays within the region with Help Hope Live to then help other individuals.
Okay.
But while we are here with the individual, you submit your bills to us. We prefer to pay to vendor as much as possible, so you're not putting money out up front. We can reimburse for quite a few things, but anything over a certain threshold, I believe it's around $10,000, needs to be paid directly to vendor, so you're not putting out that much money. But beyond that, we can, you submit your receipts to us on your campaign page that we set you up with on our website. There is a whole back system that the client has access to where you now can submit your bills directly online through your campaign page. So we've made it pretty much as simple as possible. So you can submit your bill, you can track the bill with its lifetime journey with our finance team, knowing when it's been processed, when the check has been written. And so we get these bills out to the vendor reimbursement within 5 to 8 business days of receiving all of the correct paperwork. So we try to do it as quickly and as easily for the individuals as possible.
Okay. So I know a lot of people end up comparing different platforms to GoFundMe.
Yep.
So I'm sure people are thinking, well, what's the real
Yeah.
difference? Why can't I just use GoFundMe? And I have my own thoughts, but I would love for you to clarify and share some things
Yeah.
regarding a platform like GoFundMe. We don't necessarily have to like only focus on that, but like a similar
Yeah.
platform.
No, absolutely. And we have a flyer made specifically for this reason. It is a pretty clear cut that first and foremost, we are managing the funds that are raised in honor of the individual, so they're not affecting their benefits or their household income. That's the biggest for this community, the biggest difference. We're providing you with personal support with our coordinators, with our finance team, the knowledge of fundraising for the last 40 plus years, all of that energy and providing flyers and fundraising ideas and toolkits that you don't get elsewhere. We also medically verify every individual that we work with. So you don't always get that on other platforms, so that your entire community will rest assured knowing that the individual is who they say they are, the funds are being used in the right way. And then since we are a nonprofit, donations can also come from matching gifts, corporate gifts, stock donations that you just can't receive as an individual. So as a nonprofit, we're eligible to receive those donations as well. So we can help you maximize your fundraising efforts also. So those are really our biggest advantages, but really for the medical community, it's really that safeguard for the benefits that is really needed. Everyone kind of takes what they want out of those advantages and what's most important to them. And sometimes it is that tax deductibility as well for their donors because they're donating to a nonprofit. So all the donations are tax deductible to your community as well. So yeah, we do have a lot of advantages on that side. We do really balance out those scales, and we will say those platforms serve their purpose. They're there, they've helped a lot of people, but for this purpose, this is what we do best.
Yeah, I like that you said that it's kind of like verified because I have heard of a lot of what's the right word?
Fraud.
Yep,
Yeah,
fraud
unfortunately.
using different platforms because somebody would say that they're raising money for a certain thing, maybe a service dog
Yeah.
or something else, and they're not. But
Yeah.
everyone wants to help whoever that person is with their dog,
Yeah.
And I definitely have heard about fraud. So I appreciate
Unfortunately, we all have, right? Like
that.
I know here in the Philly area, we had a big story a handful of years ago that happened on a GoFundMe fraud case. And we've had it's awful and it follows people around. So we can say we've been around for almost 43 years and we've been helping people responsibly all that time.
Yeah. Yeah. And I had a lot of people say things about tax deductible too.
Hmm.
And so that was a big thing.
Yeah.
They wanted to be, if they were giving a lot of money, they definitely
Yeah.
wanted it tax deductible. So
Yeah.
that was a huge thing. Now, does the platform have like a section where you can do updates?
Oh, absolutely. The campaign page is yours to modify. So each client gets their own campaign page on our website. And so that is where you can put pictures, videos, write your story, absolutely keep that as updated as possible so that people will come to it and know you're still actively fundraising, know what your story is. If maybe you hit a goal or you bought a certain piece of equipment, on that campaign page, people can leave notes of encouragement, they can donate straight there. You can list your thermometer or not. That's up to the individual. So yeah, that campaign page is fully uh, modifiable and, user friendly for the client and whomever they deem on their team to be able to have access to it. And our
Okay.
coordinators can help our clients with that as well.
Okay, so I know I did a shoe drive fundraiser and I had a fundraising coach and I could text her if I had a question. Now,
Cool.
because I know from personal experience, texting is the best thing for me because I'm always all over the place. I will have a random idea pop in my head, and I'm like, I need to reach out before I forget this thing. Or Renna's just being really loud, and I can't do a phone call.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
are there
Valid.
different ways to connect with those that are helping with the fundraising or different maybe marketing ideas? Or is it always a phone call or an email?
So definitely majority phone call email. But I do believe on our phone system that we use, our coordinators do have the capability to text. And then also, I believe on our updated system, and as I was saying about the tracking of the fund requests, that is where you can send notes back and forth with your coordinator about a certain request that has been made. And then, so we'll work with you too, because, every client's different. So if there are different needs, our coordinators are amazing at meeting those needs to the best of their abilities.
Yeah, I know it's different, but I had a really good experience with that shoe drive too,
That's
because
awesome.
yeah, like they're there to help you be successful in your
Yeah.
fundraising efforts. And it sounds like that's what you do too.
We, yeah, we certainly try to, and our team is really great at making it modeling it toward you and your community. Not every fundraiser is meant for each person. So it really depends on what your community is like, what's going to bring them out to help you out, whether it's an in-person event, a virtual event. an annual event or little things throughout the year. They work with you with all of that.
Hmm. I've had some people come to me, whether it was people I knew or people that were just following Renna's Corner on Instagram or Facebook, and they've asked for different advice. And I've heard some of the different things that we've been talking about, like they're worried about um, losing some of their medical benefits
Yeah.
because of income. Um, just I've heard, hey, I want to do a fundraiser, but I don't know that many people,
Yeah.
or I don't like asking for help. So, has
Yeah.
there been a way or like something you've seen that has really helped people that are kind of stuck on some of those obstacles where a lot of it's just in your head because
Yeah.
people want to help people, but if you don't ask. But I hear that a
Certainly,
lot.
yeah. And that's it. And our biggest message is certainly that we are here to do it with them, not for them. So first and foremost, to work with Help Hope Live, you have to have the motivation to do the fundraising or someone in your community and your network. If someone wants to step up and spearhead the campaign, that's fantastic. So first and foremost, yes, we do it with them, not all for them, because we need to motivate them.
Mhm.
But those are things we hear every single day. Everyone's afraid. No one wants to ever ask for help. I will say, as far as the community aspect, we do provide two built-in fundraisers a year around days of giving. So one in the fall with Giving Tuesday and one in the spring that's our own day of giving called Hope in Action. And it's a day of online donations where we cover the credit card fees. And
Mhm.
so that is where we provide full toolkits. We give them everything they need, make it as simple as possible to go out to their community. And we were able to help our clients raise over $100,000 in one day last month. And so that is where having built-in fundraisers, we already have ideas for you.
Mhm.
As far as the not having a community, that is valid. That is absolutely valid and a real unfortunate nature of today's world in some respects. But one idea that we talk about a lot that is maybe a way around that is, percentage of sales nights at restaurants. That is a way to fundraise with various chain restaurants where they will donate a percentage of the sales for that day or that night or whatever the parameters are. And it doesn't always require you to have to bring out people you know. It's people that are coming into their restaurant. And so that's a way to maybe get around that and to try to dip your toes into the fundraising waters. So there are ways to have those conversations, and our coordinators can talk to you. And we want to try to help you overcome that. People might not even realize that they are part of a community. If you start thinking about who, are your friends, your family, your neighbors, do you do sports? Are you in a church? There are people that want to help you, just might not even realize it at the time. And
Yep,
so that is what we can try to help really suss out and figure out what the best way to go about that is.
exactly. Well, we are coming down to our last 4 minutes.
Uh-oh, time crunch.
So, so I just wanted to see if there was anything else that you wanted to share that maybe we didn't touch upon that could be helpful.
Um, first and foremost, check out the website, read up. It's helphopelive.org. We have a lot of information on there. On our latest tab is our blog. You can read a ton of stories about our clients and really see who our community is. You'll get a feel for who we are and what we do, and that maybe will help you make that next step into maybe picking up the phone. You can just talk to any of our coordinators. If you pick up the phone, it's 800-642-8399. Or you can hit our contact us on our website and you will get a real person on the back end of that email. So just take that first step, have the conversation, and let us help you take it from there.
Yeah, that sounds good. I might be doing that, especially because I have all these
I'd
things
love
going
to
on.
have you.
And if I could just get something in motion where I'm like, off my to-do list, now it's on
Completely.
your to-do list.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
because I feel like it would be good to just even have that there. Like right now, we're not actively raising funds, but Sure will.
Around
Me
someone's
too.
birthday or something like that, though, or you never know, people come
Hmm.
in randomly and just say they want to, help you out, and it's best to have the campaign set up so that you can give them a link right away.
Yeah, good idea. So
Yeah,
I will share the link and the phone number that you mentioned, and we'll have people hopefully contact you, reach out, get
awesome.
more
And then we
info,
will set up Brenna's campaign in the next couple days now.
right?
Yeah.
You should see my to-do list. Whew.
I can only imagine. I know as well.
Oh
So,
man, it's real long right now. Well, summer's
yeah.
hard too because I'm trying to juggle my job, juggle Renna,
Yeah,
do all the things, Renna's Corner, and
absolutely.
everything. So
Absolutely.
I wanted to
But
thank
we're
you.
here for you when you're ready to take that leap.
Yeah,
So just let us know. And for anyone else listening, absolutely, that's what we're here to do. So
thank you.
I appreciate you having the conversation and coming up to us. I do remember how quick and fast and furious that was when we met, but you came in with a mission though, and we followed through, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah, me too. It was so great connecting, having this conversation, and we will share everything that you're doing. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.